I was betrayed by my wife and mother. The shocking truth about my marriage, a cheating scandal, and my family's backstabbing. From the very beginning, my mother had always dreamed of having a little girl. That was her biggest wish. I still remember how thrilled she was when she found out she was pregnant for the first time. It was like she lit up inside, but all that excitement drained away the moment she learned I was going to be a boy. She did not hide her disappointment, not even a little. In fact, she reminded me of it constantly as I grew up. She would bring it up like it was some funny story, saying how badly she had wanted a daughter and how let down she felt when I came along instead. My parents had planned to have more kids, mostly because Mom still held on to hope that one day she'd get her baby girl. But things did not work out that way. After I was born, my mom developed some serious health issues. Over time, those issues made it impossible for her to have another child. That broke her. You could see it in her eyes even years later. That pain stuck with her, and I know it still does. As I got older, I saw how much she longed for a daughter. It became even more obvious over time. She poured love and attention all over my girl cousins, buying them gifts, giving them compliments, treating them like royalty. She was always so warm toward them in a way she never really was with me. It was not mean exactly, it just felt different. Oddly enough, it did not bother me much growing up. I had made peace with it. That was just the way she was, and I accepted it. I knew deep down she loved me, even if I was not the child she had always dreamed of. But everything shifted when Sophia came into the picture. Sophia was the daughter of my mom's old high school best friend, someone she had not spoken to in years until they reconnected by chance. The first time Mom met Sophia, she was practically speechless. She kept going on about how beautiful she was, like she was some sort of princess. Right away, Mom latched onto this idea that Sophia would be perfect for me. Now, I was single at the time, and my mother had already made it her mission to play matchmaker. She had tried to set me up with several women before, but nothing ever came of it. This time, though, she would not let it go. She was convinced Sophia and I were meant to be. For weeks, she nagged me about going on a date with her. Eventually, I gave in, not because I was excited about it, but because I just wanted her to stop bringing it up. I figured one date could not hurt. At least she would drop it afterward. So, we went out, and I will admit, Sophia was just as gorgeous as my mom had described. But looks only go so far. As the evening went on and we talked more, I realized something was missing. There was no depth, no drive. I asked her about her goals, what she wanted from life. Without missing a beat, she told me her dream was to be a stay-at-home mom. Now, do not get me wrong. I have nothing against that. There is value in raising a family. But at the time, I was not even close to thinking about kids. I wanted someone who had her own ambitions, someone who wanted to build something with me, not just stay home. So I asked what she planned to do until that day came. Her answer? She said she wanted to be a stay-at-home wife in the meantime. She said her mom had done that until her dad passed away and claimed that was the secret to their happy marriage. While I could respect that it worked for her family, it just did not sit right with me. I wanted a partner who had a purpose beyond being at home. To make things more complicated, Sophia and her mom were both living with her uncle, who was paying all their bills since her mom refused to work. That raised even more red flags for me. When I got back from the date, I felt disappointed. I had gone in with low expectations and came out feeling even more sure that this was not what I wanted. I told my mom how I felt, and she did not take it well. She looked hurt, like I had broken her heart instead of just turning down a second date. She kept insisting I had not given Sophia a fair chance, saying I should try again and see her for who she really was. But I had already made up my mind. I told my mother kindly but firmly that it was not going to happen and she needed to move on. But I should have known better. My mother never lets go of something once she has her mind made up. Not long after that, she invited me over for dinner like she usually did. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But when I got there, surprise, Sophia was there too. My mom had invited her without telling me. Before I could say a word, both my parents slipped out of the house with big grins on their faces, calling out, "Enjoy your date!" I was stunned, completely blindsided, and from the look on Sophia's face, she was just as thrown off as I was. We stood there in the kitchen, awkward as hell, trying to figure out what to say. It felt like being shoved into a blind date we never agreed to. In my own parents' house, no less. I could have left right then. I almost did. But I saw that Sophia was embarrassed too. She did not sign up for this either. So instead of bailing, I sat down with her and we started talking again. Turns out she had actually liked me after our first date and thought I had felt the same. When I never called or followed up, she had been left confused. I tried to explain as gently as I could that while she seemed like a sweet person, our life goals just did not line up. I needed someone with more ambition, not just dreams of being a housewife. That is when she opened up a little more. She talked about her work at the church and how she spent her days volunteering with kids and helping families in need. That caught me off guard. There was a kindness in her that I had not seen before. Maybe I had misjudged her. She might not have had big career goals, but she had a heart for giving and service. That meant something. So I gave it another shot. I asked her out again. We ended up dating for a year. During that time, I got a promotion at work and was finally in a good place financially. I felt ready to take the next step. So I proposed. But if I am being honest, the proposal did not come from just me. Both of our moms, especially mine, had been pressuring us about marriage. They kept saying things like, "Do not wait too long. Her biological clock is ticking." Even though neither of us had immediate plans for kids, that pressure pushed me to propose sooner than I probably would have on my own. Once we got engaged, my mother went into full wedding planner mode. She insisted on having a huge celebration and offered to pay for everything. She acted like it was her own daughter getting married. Every detail, from the flowers to the venue to the cake, she controlled it all. It was overwhelming. But seeing how happy it made Sophia made me let it slide. The wedding was big, way bigger than I ever wanted. But the smile on Sophia's face made it worth it. After the honeymoon, I dove right back into my work. My new job was demanding, and I was constantly busy. Sophia moved into my house and, just like we had agreed, took on her role as a stay-at-home wife. She kept up with her volunteer work at the church, which she truly cared about. But not long into married life, I started to notice things about her that I had never seen before, especially since we had never lived together before. One of the first things that threw me off was how she kept asking me to send money to her mom every month. She said it was our responsibility now, that her mom had no income and we had plenty to spare. But it felt strange. She had never mentioned this before. I had always assumed her uncle was still taking care of her mother's needs. And that is where things started to unravel. Around 10:03 a.m., I realized I had been misled about my role in the household. No one ever expected me to contribute financially, but I always thought Sophia would be handling the housework more, since she was a stay-at-home wife. Yet, she would often be out all day and come home late. I'd imagined that with her being at home, she would be managing the cooking, cleaning, and all that kind of stuff during the day. But instead, she'd always seem like she was rushing when I got home, and then she'd start cooking dinner, sometimes well into the evening. I asked her a few times why she was out so late, and she'd tell me she was helping someone, whether it was a homeless person she met or a kid from the neighborhood who needed advice. I didn't want to stop her from doing what she felt was important, but at the same time I thought there was an understanding that as a homemaker, she should be taking care of certain responsibilities at home. But that wasn't happening. Our meals were often late or sometimes thrown together at the last minute. The laundry was almost always piled up, and the house never seemed as clean as I expected it to be. At first, I didn't make a big deal out of it, but eventually, I became frustrated. I started having conversations with her, calm ones, about finding a balance between her volunteering and her responsibilities at home. Each time, she'd promise to do better, But nothing ever changed. It was always the same: late dinners, chores left undone, and her excuses about helping people. One weekend, when she was out volunteering again, I decided to surprise her. I thought maybe it'd be nice to spend time with her while she was doing something she cared about. I figured I could even help if she needed it. I went to the church she said she volunteered at, but when I asked around, no one knew her. In fact, no one there had ever heard of her. I was stunned. For months, Sophia had told me she was volunteering there, but now it was clear that she had never even been to the place. I tried to convince myself that maybe I misunderstood. Maybe she volunteered at another church nearby. But when she came home that evening and told me about her day, she gave me the same church's name, the same one where I'd been told she didn't work. That's when I knew something wasn't right. She had been lying to me, not once, but repeatedly, about where she spent her time. I couldn't figure out why she was doing this. What was she really up to? Why the lies? I couldn't just let it go, so the next day, instead of going to work, I decided to keep an eye on her. I parked my car nearby, out of view, but close enough to watch her. I wanted to see if she would prove me wrong, go to the church like she always said. But when she left, she wasn't dressed like she usually was around the house. She was wearing shorts and a tank top, something I had never seen her wear before. She got into her car, and instead of going toward the church, she drove in the opposite direction. My heart raced. I followed her, staying a few cars behind. I told myself there had to be a reasonable explanation. Maybe she had to run an errand, maybe she was meeting someone else from the church. But then, she pulled into a quiet neighborhood, parked in front of a house I didn't recognize. A man came out of the house to greet her, and they hugged. Then, to my shock, they kissed in the driveway. They wrapped their arms around each other like they had done this 100 times before. I couldn't breathe. It felt like watching a car wreck in slow motion, except I was the one crashing, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. They went inside the house together, still holding hands like it was no big deal. I couldn't stop shaking. This wasn't just a random fling or a one-time mistake. The way they were with each other made it clear this was an ongoing affair. All the doubts, all the strange excuses, they suddenly made sense. She had been living a double life. She had been lying to me about where she was, while secretly seeing this man. My first thought was to call my mom, tell her everything. But I knew if I did, she'd probably call Sophia and tell her what I found out. That would tip Sophia off, and I didn't want her to know that I knew yet. I needed proof, concrete evidence that she was having an affair, so when the time came to confront her, I could be sure I had everything I needed to end our marriage. For 2 weeks, I focused all my energy on gathering evidence. I even met with a lawyer to make sure my assets were protected, since we didn't have a prenuptial agreement. I didn't want to end up losing everything because of this betrayal. When the time finally came to confront her, it felt surreal. I sat her down and calmly told her I knew about the affair. At first, she was shocked and tried to deny it, but I had already collected all the evidence. Photos, text messages, everything. When she realized there was no way out, she admitted it. She confessed that the man she was seeing was her high school boyfriend, someone I'd already found on Facebook. She tried to downplay it, saying she was just being stupid, fooling around, that it wasn't serious. But I didn't buy it. I told her I was going to divorce her. She was stunned, and at first she thought she could talk me into forgiving her, but I wasn't going to let that happen. I told her to pack her bags and leave. To make sure there was no confusion, I created a group chat with my parents and Sophia's mom, and I sent them all the proof, the photos, the messages, everything. I wanted them to know the truth, so no one could spin a different story. As expected, the reactions were intense. My mom was furious. She couldn't believe Sophia had done this to me, but she and Sophia's mom both tried to convince me to reconsider, despite the clear evidence. My dad, though, was on my side. He told me I was doing the right thing, that no one should stay with a cheating partner. Then, a week after I filed for divorce, Sophia and her mother showed up at my house. Sophia told me she was pregnant with my child. I couldn't believe it. I refused to accept that I was the father. Sophia's mother blamed me, saying I was ruining her daughter's life by refusing to take responsibility for the baby. My mom also tried to convince me to stay, saying a child could save our marriage, but I knew it wasn't that simple. Sophia's mother even threatened to testify against me in court if it came to child support, saying she didn't care who the biological father was. She was determined to claim the child as her grandchild, even if it meant going against me. During the divorce proceedings, my mother, to my shock, sided against me. She testified against me, and honestly, it was one of the hardest betrayals I've ever had to go through. My lawyer and I worked tirelessly to ensure the court knew that Sophia had been unfaithful and that there was a genuine chance the baby wasn't even mine. However, both my mother and Sophia's mother tried to downplay the affair, saying it wasn't sexual and that it was just a minor slip-up. They even tried to convince the court that since Sophia and I were still intimate just before we separated, the child must be mine. Thankfully, the judge decided not to make any final decisions regarding child support or paternity until after the baby was born, at which point a paternity test would be done. This decision gave me some relief, as I wasn't being forced to support a child that might not even be mine. However, my mother, Sophia, and her mother were absolutely furious with this outcome. My mom even came to me afterward and said that she wished I wasn't her son, and that if I were a real man, I would just step up and claim the child, regardless of the paternity test results. Over the next several months, my mom went around to everyone in the family, bad-mouthing me and painting me as the villain who ruined my marriage because, according to her, it was all just a mistake on Sophia's part. No matter how much proof I showed or how logical my arguments were, my mom clung to this narrative, blaming me for everything. The day the paternity test results came in was a relief. Sophia had given birth to a baby girl, and the test confirmed what I had suspected all along. The baby was not mine. When I told Sophia the news, she broke down and begged me to take responsibility. She argued that her friends and family would shun her and her daughter if I didn't step up. I did feel sorry for her, but the reality was clear. I wasn't the father. I told her firmly, "I'm sorry, but this isn't my responsibility." Since then, Sophia has kept calling and leaving me messages, begging me to change my mind and accept her child as my own. Update 1. Some people have been asking why I'm not willing to accept Sophia's child as mine. She's argued that since I likely won't have kids of my own anytime soon, I should just consider this baby my responsibility. She even revealed that the man she had an affair with, her high school sweetheart, had refused to marry her. He's never wanted to settle down, which is why she married me in the first place. It's clear now that I was just a way for her to get financial support while still seeing the guy she loved. Honestly, I hope she takes him to court for child support, but at this point, I don't care anymore. Update 2. I followed the advice of some of my friends and made a post on Facebook, publicly stating that I am not the father of Sophia's child. I was sick of my mom supporting Sophia after everything she had done to me. I wanted to expose her and turn the tables on the way she'd humiliated me. Well, after I made the post, calling out my mom for standing by Sophia, she called me in a rage. People started turning against her, and she accused me of betraying her. The irony wasn't lost on me. She was the one who stabbed me in the back by testifying against me in court and trying to force me to pay child support. At first, many of her friends and relatives believed her, but now with the paternity test results out, it's clear she was wrong. People started calling her out, both on the post and in person, telling her she needed to be a better mother to me and recognize that I was the real victim here. After my mom called me, there was a huge fight between her and my dad. He's had enough of her behavior. He's tired of how she's been bullying me and threatening to leave her if she didn't let go of the idea of forcing me to accept Sophia's child. After all of this, my dad has moved out and is now staying with me. It's heartbreaking that my mom has chosen to focus on my cheating ex-wife's child instead of supporting her own family. My dad will be talking to a lawyer soon and is planning to move forward with a divorce.